Hey, so dear friends, we discussed about pranayama in the last class, and just a quick recap, Shwasa Prashwasa Gatir Vichhedaha Pranayama. Okay. And then Patanjali described that you should assess your prana depending on its whether it is Bahya Kumbhaka, Antar Kumbhaka, or in between. And then you should also assess it in terms of its Sankhya, what is the number that you can hold it for, what is the desha, what is the kala, where you are holding and how long you are holding. And then after that, we understood that Patanjali says the benefit of pranayama. Anybody remembers what was the benefit that was told? Yes, what are they? Very good. So, tata kshiyate prakash avaranam. Whatever that is covering the light in the buddhi, that is removed. And dharana su cha yogyata manasaha. Mind develops the capability of doing dharana. Now, dharana Patanjali will describe in the third chapter. Dharana he describes as desha bandha chittasya dharana. Desha means space, either external space or internal space. Bandha means locked. Ability of the chitta to get locked or focus without any kind of wavering. On an object in space, which is either within or outside, is dharana. So the chitta doesn't move. Once it is focused, it is there. It will remain there. That is dharana. That ability comes to the chitta when what happens? When the person attains mastery over the breath. So breath is considered as a very, very important factor which deviates the mind from its target. Chale vate, chale chittam. Nischale, nischchalam bhavet. So yogis have always used breath as a tool to enhance the attention and focusing of the mind. So if you can hold on to the breath, it will enhance your dharana capacity. Now, between pranayama and dharana, there is a process without which you cannot enter into dharana. That process is pratyahara. Okay? So, swa vishaya asamprayoge chitta swarup anukar iva indriyanam pratyahara. Swa vishaya asamprayoge. It means that not moving towards their objects, the senses, indriyas, actually merge and take the shape of the chitta. Please understand this. This is very beautiful. And it is not the common understanding of what we think pratyahara is, just closing down of the sense organs. More than closing down, it is the flowering of the senses. Not moving towards their objects. Swa vishaya asamprayoge. Chitta swarup anukar iva indriyanam, as if the senses are taking the shape of the chitta. This process is called as pratyahara. Can anybody make any sense of this, what I told? Amulya? Okay. So he says it is not moving out toward the senses, but it is becoming self-reflective towards one's own mind. But then when it comes to dharana after this, he says that you have desha bandha. There is in a space that you are focusing your mind. So dharana happens after this. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, if you want to understand any process, you have to understand what happened before, what happened after. See, understand a yogi who has reached complete perfection in yamas and niyamas in his life. Sthiram sukham asanam. He is not deviating. He is able to sit still. Now he has developed mastery over his breath also. His breath has become very slow, very smooth. And now Patanjali is telling, do not send your sense organs towards their objects, but let the senses take the very shape of your chitta, or merge your senses into your chitta. But after that, he says, focus on a space or on an object. So what is this? What is this?
Pratyahara is asking to take the form of senses, to take the form of chitta. And desha bandha, chitta se
Chitta is focused on space. And then in Vibhutipada, he describes various objects on which that dharana, dhyana, samadhi, samyama should be done. Correct? So he is telling you to close the sense, not allowing the sense organ to go to the objects. Merge senses into chitta. But then he says, all this process that you have got your senses also into your chitta, now put your chitta into dharana, focus. Then slowly over a period of time, tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. Then towards that particular object or pratyaya, the chitta will flow effortlessly. Then observer will dissolve in samadhi. Then the true nature of that object will be revealed to you. Correct? What is it? What is it Patanjali is telling which we are missing? What is Pratyahara?
Pran evam pranayama book written by Swami Satyanand Saraswati, he has described about Pratyahara. तो बोलते हैं कि withdrawal of the senses is one aspect, withdrawal of the prana is another aspect, aspect number 2. So ऐसा नहीं है कि only withdrawal of senses we are doing, we have to do withdrawal of the senses also, then and only dharana can happen.
You are not answering my question. So please, we have very limited time. You should focus. What I am asking, you should answer in that line. My question is very simple. Patanjali, as she said, one of the meaning that we could interpret is that Patanjali is saying that the sense organ should not go toward the objects. They should focus on the chitta, become more self-reflective. But then after that, he says that you have to get into the desha. Within and outside, and then do dharana, then dhyana, then samadhi. So what is happening here? What?
Chitta is like mirror.
Yeah.
Everything.
Huh. On the object. Beautiful. Nishita says, is it like becoming aware of the process by which objects are being projected on chitta? So, all of you, all of us have experienced this, that when we love something, someone, they reside within us. Yes or no? Where do they reside? जिससे प्यार करते हैं वो कहाँ रहता है भाई? कहाँ रहता है? दिल में रहता है. कहाँ रहता है? They reside in our heart. We say no. We make heart. When you say I love you, we say okay, you are in my heart. जिससे प्यार करते हैं उसके तरफ धारणा अपने आप लगती है. See, if there are 20 people here and there is one person who loves another person very deeply, wherever he will look, even if his senses are not moving toward that person, his heart is always aware what is happening to that person. Same happens with mother. If the child is playing around, mother may not be looking at the child, but the child is there in her. आपने जीवन में जिस किसी से भी सच्चा प्यार किया, सच्चा प्यार, true love, if you have loved, and because of the circumstances, you were prohibited to send your senses to that object. This happened with me. I loved. My senses wanted to go towards the object, but circumstances were such that they created a block which was unsurpassable. My senses cannot go, but my chitta goes. Chitta goes. Even now, if I close my eyes, my chitta goes. You understand? So, no boundary of time or space. Whoever or whatever that you loved, the person has died, or physical body is not there, but your chitta goes. So you close your eyes. Pratyaya. Pratyaya means touching something not through the senses. Is it possible to touch something not through the senses? It can only happen when the senses stop moving out. If senses go out, then that phenomena of chitta touching it cannot happen. Either chitta can touch or senses can touch. Okay? So, when senses do not touch, but chitta intensely want to touch, then the only way that is left is that the senses have to flower and flourish into the chitta. And then chitta becomes the vehicle of the senses to touch, to become one with what and whom you loved. Right now, if there is a mother here, she can just close her eyes and connect to her baby. And she will know in the depth of her heart what is happening in the chitta of the baby, or in the very core of the being of the baby. There are many such instances, no? People at distant, mother knows if some accident happens with the child, mother feels little, कुछ गड़बड़ लग रहा है आज, मेरा मन नहीं लग रहा है काम में. I don't feel comfortable. How that happens? Senses are not going. Swavishaya samprayoga is not happening. But indriyas are taking the swarupa of the chitta. So yogis were able to use their chitta like a torch. But for that, it is very important that you stop sending the senses. Otherwise, you are limited in time and space and its laws. But chitta has its own laws. Chitta is beyond time and space phenomena. So पतंजलि कह रहा है कि अपनी इंद्रियों को पहले रोको, उसके बाद इंद्रियों से फाइट नहीं करना है, उसको चित्त में मर्ज करना है, फिर चित्त के थ्रू पंच इंद्रिय और उसके साथ में जो छठी इंद्रिय है वो मन है, उसके थ्रू यू प्रोजेक्ट and touch the object. Then, in the beginning, when you try to do that, bring your chitta towards the object, there will be some obstacles. As you master it, it will grow. What are the obstacles that can take place? Say, I love someone and I am projecting my chitta. Okay, that particular being, I want to become one with the essence or know the essence of that being, get in touch. And then in the beginning, if there is real love, it will be effortless. You will get dharana. Slowly, it starts flowing. You know the story of Lao Tzu? Lao Tzu was a great Chinese philosopher. He would stay on a mountain which was very difficult to reach. So he had one habit. In the morning and in the evening, he would go for a walk. And when he would go for a walk, he had very few disciples because he would not utter anything. He would not say anything. He would just go for a walk. And then once what happened is there was a new disciple who joined so he went for a walk and they were all standing there and sunset happened, then moon came up and Lao Tzu was just standing. He was not even looking at the sun or the moon. His gaze was steady. He was looking outside, but as hen, when it hatches her egg, she sits on the egg. मुर्गी अंडे को जब गर्म करती है वो अंडे पे बैठती है. So its eyes are open, but even if you move your hand, you walk around, cannot see because her whole chitta is on the egg. In the same way, Lao Tzu would just stand there. He's looking, but if you really follow the axis of his eyes and you want to see where he is looking, it appears as if he is looking at 360 degrees. Cannot make out where he is looking, but he is looking. Then the disciple couldn't tolerate the silence anymore. He uttered a line. What a beautiful moon. And he was looking at the moon. But Lao Tzu was not. Then immediately Lao Tzu turned back and went off. Then he called another disciple. Told him, from tomorrow, don't bring this. Why? He says, he's a chatterbox. He just uttered one line. What a beautiful moon. So Lao Tzu said, as soon as you praise, the love is destroyed. As soon as you pluck, the flower is gone. So, love. cannot be done through the senses. He says, I was in communion with the moon, not in contact with the moon. There is a difference between communion and contact. Communion is when my being merges with the being of the object. When I dissolve into the object. Samadhi. Tadev artha matra nirbhasam swarupa shunyam is actually love. You remain and I dissolve. Such immense caring and non-violence that I do not want to change you in any way. You remain, I dissolve. So, Pratyahara is communion. This is called as flowering of the senses. The senses just flower to their fullest potential because they are now expanding in the chitta. This is how yoga becomes destroyer of the dukkha. And people say, no, yogo bhavati dukkha. Why are you doing asana pranayama? How my dukkha is going away? This is how yoga becomes the destroyer of the sorrow. Because love heals. When yoga gives you wings beyond the boundaries of time and space. This is healing. So, this is the meaning which comes when you very deeply for days and hours together contemplate on what Patanjali wants to say and not various commentaries. See, our interpretation of Pratyahara is withdrawal of the senses. Patanjali, Chitta Swarup Anukar iv Indriyanam Swavishaya Asamprayo. So beautiful, very immense, very intense. So then what happens if you are able to do that? Then what happens is you develop complete mastery over your senses. What happens then? Param vashyate indriyanam. Why it will happen? Why param vashyate indriyanam should happen? By doing this. What do you think? Why that should happen? Complete mastery over the senses happens as a result of that. Thence appears complete mastery over the senses. Just show that shloka. Yeah.
The tendency of the senses to draw towards the sense objects that are taking the form of citta. It is obvious and we gain control.
So it is not fighting with the senses anymore. If a person gets an access to an ocean, what would he do with small lakes? In the same way, these cravings for small pleasures goes away because one has got access to a very different dimension in life. You understand? So therefore comes the param vashyata on the indriyas. So with this kind of a understanding of Pratyahara, Patanjali ends the second chapter. And then he goes into the third chapter. Okay. Now, this is a technique and a technology which yogis have used to gain the information and knowledge which usually was not accessible to people. That is how, these people like Charaka, people like Patanjali were able to tell about stars, tell about various things within the body, nadis, pranas, all those structure which are not available to our senses. What has happened with the science is still we are dependent on the senses to gain knowledge. But here they touched a dimension where knowledge could be attained. Knowledge could be attained within oneself. Okay. So when the third chapter begins, Patanjali says, Desha bandha chittasya dharana. In the space, mind getting locked up is dharana. Correct? And then comes dhyana. What is dhyana? Tatra pratyaya ekatanata dhyanam. Let me just slow. So here the communion has started happening. There is a flow of the chitta towards the object of the chitta effortlessly. Chitta is now in communion with the object of the chitta. One important thing to understand here is that it is happening with the pratyaya and not the external object itself. What is pratyaya? What is the meaning of pratyaya? Anybody can tell me? It has come many times in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Pratyaya का मतलब क्या है? Content of the mind. Huh? State of what? State of what? Absence. My question is, what is the meaning of the word pratyaya? Anybody? प्रत्यय का मीनिंग क्या है भाई? अपना दिमाग लगाओ. These texts you can understand only when you love and really want to connect to the author. किसी का commentary नहीं पढ़ना चाहिए. You should read the original Sanskrit and its meaning. That's it. And think about it. Pratyaya means, yes?
That wherever the chitta goes, I think it's a state of chitta where it observes it. Goes to something.
Pratyaya means reflection of the object of the senses on the chitta. It is reflection on the chitta. So if it is a mirror, if I am standing in front of the mirror, the me that is seen in the mirror is pratyaya. So in nidra there is abhava pratyaya. There is nothing reflected. But here, because of the communion with the moon is now reflected in my heart. That moon in my heart is pratyaya. It is within my heart on the reflection of the moon that I am doing dharana. It is through my heart that I am connecting with the moon, not through my senses. Senses are already closed. Senses have flowered into the chitta, and then within my chitta, through my chitta, the internal space is infinite. So it is through inward that I connect to my love and reflect and be one with that. That is pratyaya, reflection of what I want to focus on in the space of my chitta. There Deshabandha is happening. And then when toward that pratyaya, there is a continuous flow of my chitta, my attention. Then what happens? There is dhyana. This is meditation. What is this about attention? We all know, no? We all seek attention of our loved ones. Do we not? We only want attention of our loved one. जिससे प्यार करते हैं उसका अटेंशन चाहिए होता है ना. हम जो भी करते हैं उसको दिखाना चाहते हैं, उसको बताना चाहते हैं. ऐसा लगता है वो हमेशा हमें देखता रहे तो अच्छा लगता है. वो अगर इग्नोर करे तो अच्छा नहीं लगता. अगर वो हमें देखता है तो हमें आनंद होता है. आनंद होता है, फिर हमारा नाचने का मन करता है, फिर हमारा हंसने का मन करता है. वो ज्यादा देखता है तो हमको ज्यादा खुशी होता जाता है. कंटिन्यूअस देखता है तो हम समाधि में जाने लगते हैं. ऐसा होता है कि नहीं होता है? Why does that happen? What is this about attention? Why does attention, as soon as it comes, even through the senses, it allows flourishing of something within us? Why does that happen? What is this in attention? Why do you want attention of your loved one? क्यों चाहिए भाई? क्या होता है attention से? Really? इतना हम सोचते भी नहीं है. State of flow psychology. ये तो सबने एक्सपीरियंस किया है ना. जिससे हम प्यार करते हैं वो हमको अटेंशन देता है तो अच्छा लगता है कि नहीं लगता है, कि बुरा लगता है? कोई है जिसको बुरा लगता है? सबको अच्छा लगता है. क्यों? हमारे अंदर कुछ होता है. समथिंग हैपेंस विद इन अस. And the person you really love looks at you and keeps looking at you. You have to start laughing. Why? Why do you laugh? Why do you become happy? क्या होता है? कुछ खिलता है हमारे मन में, कुछ खिल जाता है. बटरफ्लाई स्टमक में हो जाता है. Butterflies in the stomach. Something starts flowering. What is going on? So, in a way, in the essence of the things, in love, you want to become one. You want to become one entity. You don't want two. So when those two connect and start becoming one, it creates joy. But that oneness that really the soul seeks is the oneness that should happen beyond senses. It should happen at the level of the chitta. Both should go into samadhi for each other. Swarupa shunyam tadevartha matrani. That kind of yuj or connect is yoga. Yujyate anena iti yoga. We keep repeating. योग जोड़ता है, युज धातु से आता है, इसलिए योग. कहाँ उसको, कहाँ, do we understand what is that युज? This is the yuj. Yuj. When the smart rishis of our country understood that yuj can never happen through the senses. Only dukkha can happen through the senses. But it doesn't mean that the love has to die. That's why Krishna never married Radha. Then the love flourished. So you have to see that at certain point of time in your life, for you to grow, life creates such circumstances where it doesn't want you to get addicted to the senses anymore, but want you to learn the art of love that can transcend the senses. Then there is no boundary, there is no limit. Just connect. So this is pratyaya. Ektanata, a flow. देखो flow आ गया. Ektanata means flow. That is dhyana. Now that flow can also come when you are into an action, but your motor organs, your sensory organs, you are not with them. You are inwards and towards the very essence of that action which is reflected in your chitta. Then action becomes a flow. Each action comes to you. You don't do it. It comes. From some dimension, action comes onto the chitta. So you do samyama on that very origin of thought, that very origin of action within your chitta, and allow it to flourish and flow. Then you get into the flow state of Csikszentmihalyi. So if this pratyahara, then dharana, then samadhi, dhyana is happening, then there can be some obstacles. If the chitta is not purified enough, then there can be some obstacles which will not allow the chitta to move towards the object or to reflect the object within it. That is when you do trataka, you focus on the candle. That is not main part. What is the main part? When you close your eyes, can you retain the candle in your chitta? This is the habit that has to be developed. You focus on something. That is not important that you are not blinking your eyes. आप अपनी पलक नहीं झपका रहे हो, वो जरूरी नहीं है. उसको देखने के बाद जब आप आंखें बंद करते हो, तब आपके मन के दर्पण पे आप उसको कितनी देर तक रख सकते हो, ये ज्यादा जरूरी. Then only the next dimension can open up to you. So there are obstacles that Patanjali has described which do not allow this to happen. What are those obstacles? They are antarayas. Definitely, the kleshas are the manifestations, are the root cause of these obstacles, but in the beginning when they come, they manifest with certain symptoms. So when I am focusing on my chitta, I am trying to do dharana on something or dhyana on something, then what happens? If I have disease, my back pains, I develop cough, I develop headache, vyadhi. Vyadhi is the first obstacle which doesn't allow me to do dharana. Sthyan. Then just laziness, or I will get into sleep. I will focus for doing dharana, but I will end up sleeping. Alasya. Then pramad, alasya, avirati. The senses have such a strong pull toward their objects that they are not able to understand this, that I can meet them within me. So they start pulling me out. phone में message आया होगा. So, और खाने के आइटम दिखते हैं, ऑब्जेक्ट दिखते हैं. So you are hungry and you start seeing food. So all these are avirati. Avirati means till the chitta is not purified, and therefore it is, you are trying to turn it inwards to get into another dimension of love, but by force, for the habit that you have, the genetic samskaras that you have from many janmas, they ultimately end up pulling you out. So avirati, inability to hold on to the external pull of the senses. Then bhranti darshanam, when you are trying to do real dharana, some imaginary world you are entering. Bhranti darshanam, you have got into, because of lack of purification of the chitta, you are thinking it is dharana, but you are doing something else. You are doing daydreaming. Bhranti darshanam. Patanjali is aware of that. Then anavasthitvam. Even if you have held on to it, it shakes and moves away, and you are gone, again gone. Anavasthitvam, not able to stay there. These are the symptoms that your chitta is still impure, and you have to do more sadhana. You have to find out whether it is because of the yamas and niyamas, because my inability to sit still, or is it because of the vyadhi, or because of my prana not being stable. You need these prerequisites. You have to do something with your body, mind, senses to get ready for these dimensions. But once mastered this art of samyama, this has been called as samyama. It is a technology. It is a search engine in itself. You have your own Google within. Whatever you put on this samyama gate, it will start revealing all the information that is there in the world. भगवान ने आपको एक गूगल अंदर भी दिया है, और इस गूगल में धोखा नहीं होता है. Correct information. Nature will start revealing its secrets layer by layer, layer by layer. It will come to you in the form of insights, deeper and deeper insights. Wherever you put, it will start opening its secrets to you. So in a way, I try to do some sort of, at least, whether with bhakti or whether with whatever jnana I have, surrender towards the very sutras that I am reading. When I come for this class, at least 1.5 hours, I just sit on a sutra. Okay, I am not understanding. I don't. What is this you are trying to say, which I am not able to understand? So then, over a period of time, slowly, not necessarily at that time, when you are just playing or walking or really relaxed, suddenly, from within you, a layer clears. See, I have taken Patanjali classes before also, and I have given very different definition of Pratyahara. Correct, no? Pratyahara, I used to say, eating within inwards. Now I am telling it differently. Why that has happened? Because somewhere I was able to put it into my Google within, and it was moving, and it, like that, if you do samyama on anything in this object, anything, and you have patience, and you hold on to it, dharana. Dharana is dharana shakti, holding on. I will not give up till I know. Then it gets into an effortless state. Your mind, whenever free, always goes into that. And then the moment when you are not there, the moment then when nature is sure that if I give this knowledge to this fellow, he is not going to say that this belongs to me, then nature will. नेचर आपको कब सीक्रेट खोलेगा? जब नेचर को ये पता होगा कि स्वरूप शून्य हुआ है, then only samadhi. Samadhi is a state where you jump into a deeper layer of insight. Archimedes got this eureka moment. It was samadhi. He was all. How is this happening? How to calculate the weight? He had a gold bangle, and if some gold is removed, how do you know exactly what happened? So in a glass of water, you put the gold before, then remove some gold, put it again, so or add, then whatever is displaced is. So all the scientists in this world, they have discovered something new. We are moving ahead because human beings are able to discover something new. Now, people say that AI will completely, no, AI will bring you into samyama. AI will always tell what you know. But always this has happened, that human beings have got into this state, whether they are aware of it or not, got those insights. So whether it is the discovery of electricity, whether it is the discovery that you can fly, the aeroplane Wright brothers, or X-rays, whatever that has happened, it has happened because human being got into a state of samyama and a secret was revealed to them. So it is also very important that it happens when your swarup becomes shunya. जब आप नहीं होते हो तब आता है. When you are too intense, you do dharana. In fact, in life also this happens. You want something very badly, the more badly, जितना बुरी तरह से चाहिए उतना दूर जाता है, फिर उसको छोड़ दिया, फिर हम खुद ही भूल गए, फिर पता नहीं कब वो सामने आ जाता है सच. Suddenly it comes in front, whatever you. So you let go and it comes. Because the nature, the software is such that samadhi happens only when there is swarupa shunya. It is in samadhi only that vivek jnanam is opened. Otherwise, this asmita itself is a block that doesn't allow that insight to come to you. So the more humble you are, the less, the more nature is sure that you are not going to, take false credits, because ultimately, who knows? Ultimately, whatever information or knowledge that comes. So, sarvesham api guruhu kalena avachcheda. It is the Ishvara only which is becoming gurus of all the gurus and giving them insight. So, ultimately, the source of all the knowledge is only one. So, we all just become the reflective mediums, and it is beyond our capability to have any new knowledge. What we can do at most is focus on our chitta, make our chitta steady, and wait for it. Correct? But yes, that is required. Otherwise, even if it has to come, it cannot come because the medium is not. See, even if Google has all the information and is okay to give you, you need a Wi-Fi, no? Without Wi-Fi, Google says, no, not connect. But Google has everything. तो वाईफाई का कनेक्शन और स्ट्रेंथ, सिग्नल स्ट्रेंथ कैसा है वो डिपेंड करता है ना. उसके लिए your chitta should be prepared, chitta should be purified, cache should be removed, and your hardware also should have good memory, GB, RAM. So that's why the asanas, pranayama is for hardware and yama niyama is for the software to become clean. And then all these yogis were Sarvartha jnana is sarva vishayam. Sarvartham sarva vishayam jnanam. There are states described in the third chapter towards the end where yogi knows every aspect of everything. Ritambhara tatra padnya. See, if Google can bring you to that level where any information in the world is available at the tip of your finger. This has happened with external technology. Don't you think that there will be an inner technology which can do the same in much more enhanced way? So this is what these sages are talking about. So in the next class, we will go further in the third chapter. Okay. Any questions?
This lecture, like, what it will be, Virama Pratyaya, Bhava Pratyaya.
That is what? Bhava Pratyaya, Virama Pratyaya. Viram Pratyaya, what is that sutra? So this is the distinction that we have between the Sabija and Nirbija Samadhis. So in Sabijas, there are still those samskaras within me which can reflect on my chitta. So reflection of something can happen on my chitta either from external. You remember I showed in one class a transparent ball which was reflecting the world also and reflecting the very base also. So if the base is also reflected, it is pratyaya. So in Nirbija Samadhi, from inside also the base is also not reflected. So that is Virama Pratyaya. Bhava Pratyaya means they are born with certain configuration of their samskaras, which are reflecting on their chitta, where they have already cleansed their chitta to a certain extent that they are in a Videha Bhavana. So their chitta is only reflecting some remaining samskaras, which are required to be removed for them to get into Nirbija Samadhi in this very life. So they are already born in a state of Sabija Samadhi. So they have Bhava Pratyaya, means what their chitta is reflecting is only the latent samskaras, but it is already purified to not to move outward or connect, in that way. Does it make sense? Bhava Pratyaya is that chitta is already into some level of purification and is only reflecting some latent things which will be cleared in this life, which should be cleared in this life. Then it is Bhava Pratyaya. Virama Pratyaya means that when the person moves from Sabija and moves towards Nirbija, then initial purification is when my chitta is able to steady on one object. Then I will get into different stages of these vibhutis. I will do samyama on my Nabhi chakra, and they say Nabhi chakre kaya vihud jnanam. You will understand the whole structure of this body, how these energy systems, nadis are functioning. Everything will become open to you if you do samyama on your navel region. Like that, each prana, there is effect of samyama. Udana prana, or samana prana, you do samyama, it reveals its effect to you. Now, this is when still the yogi has a desire about the laws of the nature, the objects of the nature, the prakriti. Still the Purusha is attracted towards the prakriti and wants to know it. It goes on. But when Purusha Khyati happens, when does that happen? When there is Paravairagya. When one is not even interested in knowing all this Vibhuti, Siddhis. Google भी कितना सर्च करेंगे, कर करके बोर हो जाते, क्या क्या देखेंगे, what all we will know. Nowadays we don't use Google also. Okay, everything is there. What you will go mad if you just keep on doing Google all information. So like that, yogi does some experiments, understands, okay, sab it is all known. Then he says, oh, not interested. Trigunatmaka, everything is sattva rajas tamas. How much will you play? How long will you play? Child plays for a while and then says, okay, done. No need. So then when that para vairagya comes, when then all these samadhis, everything are also, okay, they are obstacles. I remove, those siddhis, vibhutis, not required. Then, so it is abhyasa and vairag. Abhyasa vairagya bhyam tan nirodha. Initially, there is, from many vrittis, chitta comes to only one vritti. That vritti is of dharana. And then when it starts getting into samadhi for different objects, it understands the secrets of the nature. And after that, it starts giving away even that tendency of doing samyama on many things. It doesn't want to know. Then comes a different level of expansion where all the knowledge that is there in the universe also becomes very small. And as the vairagya continues to develop, then person gets into dharma megha samadhi, and then the state comes of kaivalya, where there is complete guna vaitrushnya, no thirst for any aspect of any guna. Chitta shakteriti kaivalyam. Then the chitta is also dissolved because it has fulfilled its purpose. Chitta was there to reflect, reflect, reflect. Now chitta could do two things, either reflect prakriti or reflect purusha. So all this thing keeps happening when chitta is still interested in reflecting prakriti. And purusha, bhoga, apvargartham, it goes on. But after a while, chitta says, okay, I want to only reflect purusha. I am not interested in prakriti. And then when it really starts reflecting pristine purusha, chitta also says, my purpose is gone. Guna's purpose is gone. Separation. Chitta dissolves. So that is a state when person is in kaivalyam.
Sir, I asked you earlier the question means why Patanjali has used that Kaivalya word when moksha was already present.
So these words in Bhagavad Gita we see moksha, moksha sthiti. In Patanjali we see kaivalya. So when you look at the timelines, which happened first, Bhagavad Gita or Patanjali Yoga Sutra?
PYS comes second century. 200 BC.
Second to fourth century. Bhagavad Gita is much earlier. So Bhagavad Gita derives its things from the Vedas. Patanjali came in the time when I think Buddha was also around in the same time. So there was a need for adopting more scientific approach.
That was earlier PYS.
Yeah. So, or around same time, or I'm not sure, but Patanjali came up with a scientific attitude. Till Bhagavad Gita, it was very clear everybody was onto Vedas only. But here, therefore, Ishvara also, he adds very technically, that there is a option, but there is a option of going without that also. So, सांख्य योग से आता है और पतंजलि एक थिन लाइन डिसाइड करता है कि मैं इसको सिर्फ भक्ति मार्ग के लिए भी ना रखे. भगवत गीता predominantly you see, then it goes into bhakti marga. So bhakti marga is complete surrender and moksha word suits there. But here it has kept it open for even for intellectuals who do not want, like Buddha says, okay, no, nothing, no Paramatma here. No? So उन लोगों के लिए भी एक साइंटिफिक वे में खुला रहना चाहिए. इसलिए उस स्थिति को जहां पुरुष और प्रकृति अलग हो गए और चित्त डिसॉल्व हो गया, उसको कैवल्य नाम दिया. सो आई थिंक उसको थोड़ा और साइंटिफिक रखने के लिए उन्होंने ऐसा किया. बट द अल्टीमेट स्टेट इज सेम. It is whether you call it moksha is ultimate freedom, and kaivalya also the same thing happens. Okay then. Thank you.